I stepped out of the bus in that village surrounded by mountains. And for the first time, I felt like I have come home. I have to dumb it down to very core of why the momentum keeps happening despite of all the challenges is genuine love for what you are doing. Geniuses learn to do whatever they do well. So I learned that whatever you want to do, can you do it well? Can you do that lovingly? I don't need to be smiling or bursting with joy to, be okay with myself. If I'm balanced, if I'm in general okay, that is my state of happiness.
Life is like the clouds, they come and go. Whereas life or we can be steadfast like a mountain. Any cloud, any storm, anything comes, the mountain stays there.
What I generally see people doing mistakes is they link their state of happiness with the activity or with a person. And if we realize and if we pursue to become like that, unmoving, no matter what storm is hitting you,
Yeah,
like the mountains, then that state of unmoving, untouched, unaffected, that in a way is happiness. It
that
should
is
not.
totally happiness. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our episode of the Happiness Hour, a podcast which is dedicated to happiness, spirituality, and consciousness. Today, I have with me a very young mountaineer, Parth Upadhyaya. Founder of Phoenix Experiences, Parth is a young mountaineer with an intense passion for mountains and training others to summit as well. He summited the Mount Everest at the age of 24, a dream that he had since the age of 15. Scuba diving, playing the tabla, sharing his learning through podcasts and blogs, Parth is a force to reckon with. Welcome, Parth, to our podcast series.
Thank you, Ashu. Very nice to be here. Looking forward to the nice questions that you might want to ask me.
You've had an exciting and inspiring journey of climbing mountains and challenging your boundaries at a very young age. When most people are still thinking about school, grades, college, you were thinking of Mount Everest. How did you discover your passion for mountains and how did Mount Everest happen so early?
Well, for the first 15 years of my life, all I was told by people around me, starting from home to school to friends to relatives, that the only thing that you have to do in your life right now, Parth, is study, get good marks, and well, lo behold, that was the only one thing that I was not able to do so well. मार्क्स नहीं आते थे पढ़ाई आई ऑलवेज न्यू दैट आई एम वेरी स्मार्ट but when it came to writing in the exams and mugging up the books and all those things, I was like, this is, this, yeah, all the, people with gray hair are telling me this is it. But somehow it is not making sense to me. That understanding instinctively I always had. And I scored a beautiful 48% in my 10th grade. So
Okay.
घर पे बड़े धमाके हुए. बट उस टाइम पे छुट्टियां होती है 10th के बाद, big holidays, 2-3 months holiday, and my parents were tired of telling me that you should do some extracurricular activities and this and that, but I used to do nothing. In those one of those evenings at my home, my father was watching a random news coverage one day. He called me in. A 16-year-old boy from Noida who had climbed Everest back in 2010. This was. The way that guy was explaining his experiences, the struggles that he went through, the beauty that he saw in the mountains, and especially the way he was describing the sunrise that he saw from up there. Somehow, the 15-year-old me, it caught my imagination. I told my father that, why don't you send me trekking? You've been wanting to get me out of the house for 3 months. Here is your chance. He signed me up for a weekend trek to Kalsubai, which is the highest peak in our Maharashtra. And as a complete introvert, I went with a group of 30 people, which was like a huge barrier for me to break. But I remember this so clearly, Ashu. I stepped out of the bus in that village surrounded by mountains. And for the first time, I felt like I have come home. I can never forget that feeling, and even till date, whenever I go to the mountains, this is the same feeling. And I did that trek, and I saw the sunrise from the top of Kalsubai. And I think that was the time when, I told myself that, well, I want to see sunrise from the highest point in this world. But it was not about the sunrise. It was about taking on that journey, a journey which is so different from studies. And so from there, somehow you can say it started, and I promised myself, no matter what it takes, I'm gonna see that sunrise from the top of the world. It took me
Oh,
9 years.
well, you made it happen. So that one fire that got lit was enough to push you to summit the Mount Everest and make it happen. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
The mental endurance and discipline that such a feat requires is intense. How did
Mhm.
you develop the champion's mindset to sustain the momentum throughout at such a young age?
Well, I wish I could say, do this and you will develop that mindset. It doesn't work like that. But if I have to dumb it down to very core of why the momentum keeps happening despite of all the challenges, is genuine love for what you are doing. I mean, is it, हमें हमेशा कहते हैं कि do what you love, and we don't realize the depth of that, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
when you do something that you are really passionate for, when you do something that you really love,
Hmm,
all the nonsense that comes in your way that you might not like, the hurdles, the hardships, or the failures, well, the love for that thing fuels you to go past all this. It is as simple as that sounds. When I went to engineering, I had one boy who was passionate about engineering, and I saw the same fire in his eyes that I had in my eyes for mountains. So it is not about what you do, it is about how you do it. So I saw this video of Sadhguru where he said something that really transformed this mindset of mine. He says three sentences in this: fools do what they don't like, smart people do what they like, but geniuses learn to do whatever they do well.
yep.
So so I learned that whatever you want to do, can you do it well? Can you do that lovingly? Rather than only doing what you love, which is also nice, but then in that journey of doing what you love, for example, if I talk about mountains, right? In the pursuit of climbing Everest, I had to unfortunately do a lot of things that I'm not really passionate about, like raising the funds for it. And that is where most of the talented mountaineers in India stop, because they are like, I don't like to do this. I don't know how to do this. I will keep climbing small mountains. This is not a winner's mindset. But can you learn whatever you do? Can you learn to do that joyfully?
Hmm,
And I have consciously put in a lot of effort in enjoying things that I don't like also, so I think if you consciously practice this, then no matter what comes in your life, the momentum will be on, because eventually you'll realize there is no such thing as loving or hating of doing something. Whatever you do, you learn how to do it well. So I think this was really transformational in my journey. And yeah, I think, once you, and also the thing is, when I started climbing mountains, the transformation that I saw in myself, that was also a fuel to keep that momentum on, that I was loving what was happening to me. Physically, I was transforming. Mentally, I was becoming more resilient, more clear. Energetically, I was becoming more excited and more bright. People could see the transformation on my face. And I think when you combine all of these things, there is no reason why you need to stop. Momentum is a byproduct of all these things. You don't need to ever focus on the momentum of the car. Build a good engine, lubricate it well, get good wheels, and speed will anyways come. It's a byproduct, right?
Outstanding. It's a byproduct of really putting all those pieces together of physical, mental, emotional endurance, and then the momentum just happens. You
Correct.
played the tabla alongside Ustad Zakir Hussain when you were little. Oh, yes, I remember this. Yet you pursue it today only as a hobby. What
Well,
made you what made
yeah.
you give that up?
Well, it's a very good question. Tabla is a part of my life that not a lot of people know, apart from my parents and my school friends. Because in the school days, I was extremely active. I used to play maybe one or two shows a week. And that's the kind of momentum I had picked up. I started learning it at the age of 6. My mother saw that my fingers are, moving on the table and, कहीं भी वो मेरी उंगलियां चल रही है. तो उनको लगा कि शायद कुछ percussion instrument में डालूं इसको, तो maybe something nice will come out of it. And the first year of the class was terrible, was horrible. I remember being traumatized, like genuinely being traumatized, because इतना छोटा सा था मैं. तबला इतना बड़ा होता है, उंगली इतनी छोटी होती है, और ऊपर से वो सर डांटते हैं उंगली बांध के कि ये दो उंगली नहीं हिलनी चाहिए. आई स्टार्टेड हेटिंग तबला. आई एम सेइंग दिस वेरी कॉन्शियसली. हेटिंग तबला. आई यूज्ड टू क्राई विद द प्रोस्पेक्ट ऑफ गोइंग टू द क्लास. 1 साल की कोशिश के बाद मम्मी ने बोला छोड़ो. Then somehow I went, like, parents, because they were fans of Ustad ji, Zakir Bhai, they took me to one of his concerts. I see something shifted. The magic that that man created with his fingers. I, at that very young age of 7.5, could see that this is not just music. This guy is creating something beyond music, you know, a very powerful energy in the room. And somehow I developed that passion again. And I told my parents, like, why don't you bring me some cassettes of this guy? I want to listen to this guy. घर पे सुनते then one fine day at the age of, I think, 8.5, I told my mother I want to learn again. And when I went to the class, the funniest thing is, I remember all this. Zakir Bhai said to me, ah, now you have come. Like, finally, out of willingness, now I have really come. And now I'm fully there. I don't know how he saw that. And then I learned properly. And he gave me a lot of chances to play with a lot of big names in the industry. And then eventually I moved on to performing with people from all over the world. In fact, all sorts of music I have played with, from Afro to jazz to orchestra, and of course the Indian classical music. But what happened is, when I started climbing mountains, that was the time I shifted my home from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. And then I realized that mountains can be my life, but tabla can be something that fuels me, and I wanted to keep it very personal. For me, tabla was so pure that I wanted to keep it pure. I wanted to keep it just for me, and I have still kept it like that. Just before our session, I practiced for half an hour, but nobody gets to see that. It is for me.
Well, I hope to listen to it someday.
Yes.
Uh, uh, the spirit of adventure truly drives you. How do you keep yourself grounded in daily life?
Oh, well, that's a heavy question, but with a very simple answer. When I started climbing mountains initially, I was so arrogant and was, my chest was full of, like, I'm climbing mountains. I climbed 6,000 meter mountains in a month and this and that. When I was young, 18, 19 years old. And when this happens, the mountain gods, they are this very clearly. And they, when they decide to deflate your ego, it can backfire very badly. Luckily, the mountain gods chose to deflate my ego in a very, caring way. In my early days of climbing mountains, the first big slap that I had, that really changed my attitude. I was climbing a 6,000-meter mountain in Ladakh, and I had just climbed another 6,000-meter mountain just 1 week before. And this mountain that I was going to climb, I had climbed it 3 times before already and knew the route and I knew it almost inside out. I told myself, I'm gonna go to the base camp in 1 day, which is a 3-day trek. And I'm gonna go to the summit from the base camp that very night when I reach the base camp. So basically, I wanted to finish this in 24 hours. And I reached the base camp with a backpack of 25, 27 kilo because no Sherpa, no porter, no guides, no budget for all of these luxuries back then. I reached the base camp, I rested for a few hours, left for the summit night. That very evening, I was feeling tired, of course. And halfway up, I developed a headache. And from headache to blackouts to vomiting, everything escalated too quickly. And I realized something is very wrong. But I was on sort of a slope where I can't really sit down, too steep to sit. So there was a flat section at the shoulder point. So I knew that. I'm like, I somehow reach there, rest there, and reevaluate what to do. जैसे तैसे वहां पहुंचा मैं. Only I know how I really gathered the energy to reach there. Upon reaching there, I put my backpack down, and when you cut a tree from its root, how does it fall? Boom! वैसे मैं गिरा वहां पे शोल्डर पे
Oof.
and blacked out, unconscious, And I don't really know how long it was, maybe 25, 30 minutes it must be. I woke up, my eyes opened, and I was so disoriented that I thought that I'm in my room and I'm feeling cold because the AC is full on, And I'm with my eyes, I'm searching for, with my hand, I'm searching for the remote. I was that disoriented. And then I felt the rocks and snow on my hands. I suddenly realized, Path, I remembered you were on this bloody mountain and you were not doing well. And this was the thought process was so slow because your brain is not working, physically not working. The neurons are not firing properly. And sat down, somehow realized what was happening, and I told myself, Path, I need to go down, otherwise I'm gonna die. There was nobody else. There were a few torch lights coming from below. They were also quite far. So I knew I had to go down quickly. I took my ice axe and बैठे बैठे नीचे जाने लगा मैं. And only I know, Ashu, that night how I made it down, because once I realized that I might actually die, I knew no. I can't make my parents go through this. I'm dead, I'm finished. So when you are dead, you are dead. But the people who you leave behind, that's something I was not willing to inflict upon them. Somehow, it took me 6 hours, 7 hours in that condition, to reach the base camp. And just 100 meters away from base camp, when I reached, I saw two people. They saw me. I saw them. I knew I was safe. And in that moment, my body gave up completely and I fell unconscious. And I woke up next morning with oxygen mask in a hospital. That was the only time in my life I was rescued. Zero consciousness. Then,
Wow. So that is like quite a humbling experience
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
where
absolutely.
really you are made aware of that nature has its own might and power and you cannot challenge it.
Absolutely. And after this experience, I have never ever looked at a mountain like this without, हमेशा झुक के ही देखा है. And that has worked. When you are going like this with some humbleness, the nature takes care of you. But the funny thing, I told myself that, Parth, if you stop climbing now after that incident, the fear will, amplify. I told myself immediately after I'm better, I'm gonna go to that mountain and climb it again alone. And within a week, I summited that mountain. But with that humbleness, by doing the right process of acclimatization and everything. So, and the mountains accepted me with full open arms. But this is how, a strict mother teaches you lessons. She doesn't slap you to, injure you. She slaps you so that you awaken. So that's how mountains have always fixed me at the right times, done the right things.
And if you're to really look, translate that to life, how do you bring that learning into everyday life?
Oh, into everyday life, I would say this learning extends by grounding yourself in one fact and one fact alone. I think this morning in our training also we spoke about this, that people hold so much nonsense against each other, like they are going to live forever, right? Just this one fact that you are a mortal being. And that night I was so so close on the edge of life and death. I realized this one thing. It takes so much to stay alive, but it takes so little to die. Like all the forces in the universe are working to keep you alive. But if you take a wrong step and if you hit your head in the wrong angle, you are dead. That's how simple it is to die. And this is something I walk through life with this awareness. Any action I do, every trek I do, every client I train, every trek I lead, maybe I'm meeting them for the last time. Maybe I'm leading this trek for the last time. If I'm doing it for the last time, to how should the quality of my effort be here? That's how I do every action because I know one day it will end. And to walk life holding the awareness of death in your hand always right next to you, it keeps things in perspective. Really
Oh,
does.
you bet. It instills gratitude as well as a feeling of, really being present to life rather than going back into the past or running away into the future where you don't even know if a future exists. So keeps you very much here and now, and really looking at the here and now. What would you say is your definition of happiness? People chase happiness. There's a pursuit of happiness. What is happiness for you?
There will come a few moments in every human being's life when they will be absolutely distraught and destroyed. For example, death of loved one, चाहे वो parents हो या spouse हो या close friends हो या any human being that you are close to, there will come a time when you will lose them, right? So unless such crazy things have not happened to you, every other state apart from being completely destroyed, for me that is happy. I don't need to be smiling or bursting with joy to be okay with myself. If I'm balanced, if I'm in general okay, that is my state of happiness. That is what I define as happiness, because life will make sure that you will be down on your knees, you know
And you will
because
learn how to be happy even when you're down on your knees, because once again, life has a way of teaching you how to
wow.
stay steadfast even in those moments.
Yes, well, so as you rightly said, I mean I've personally not learned how to be completely destroyed and to be balanced in that moment, but maybe I'm learning that.
I was looking at the mountains. I remember many years ago, we were in Zermatt. And I think what struck out at me was life is like the clouds, they come and go.
Hmm.
We can be steadfast like a mountain.
Hmm.
Any cloud, any storm, anything comes, the mountain stays there.
क्या बात है.
And that for me really is who we are inside of us.
100%, 100%. And if we realize and if we pursue to become like that, unmoving, no matter what storm is hitting you,
Yeah,
like the mountains, then that state of unmoving, untouched, unaffected, that in a way is happiness. It
that
should
is
not.
totally happiness.
Yes, and what I generally see people doing mistakes is they link their state of happiness with the activity or with a person, and that is something that will be ever changing. You can't always be climbing mountains. Like if you love vada pav and you feel like you will be happy after eating a vada pav, मैं आपको 24 घंटा खिलाता हूं, show me how happy you'll be bloody destroyed, right? So linking your emotions to a person or to activity, I think that is the stupidest things that a human being can do. you know just being by yourself, that is happiness, yeah. और क्या है?
On this note, if you had to say one thing that nature has taught you most of, I hear humility in a big way,
Yeah.
uh, and you had to write a book,
Hmm.
what would the theme and the title of that book be?
Wow. Wow. In all the speeches that I give and all the podcasts that I do, I have realized somehow my underlying message has been that your life or your goals is 100% your responsibility. Stop being a victim minded human being. That is truly the core of my whatever I speak. And I will remove one layer to explain this, right? Because there are two sorts of people in this world. One, like everybody has a goal, right? Everybody has a goal. Everybody wants to be a billionaire and every mountaineer wants to climb Everest. Fine. 99% people are not able to do that because when hurdle comes in their way, what they do is they start giving excuses. Right? I'm not able to do this because support nahi hai, because paisa nahi hai. You know how hard it is to raise money? I'm focused on climbing mountains. They have thousand excuses. Where the other 1% people, the winners, okay, there's a problem. I want to find a solution. Khatam. That is one are problem oriented, one are solution oriented. So if the theme of the book would be stop being a victim to your own creation, because nobody told you to be a billionaire, nobody told you to climb Everest. It is a dream that you chose, and now
Mm.
you are unhappy and crying about some hurdles that come in the way. You don't deserve to climb Everest. You don't deserve to be a billionaire. So the only thing that I always did whenever I had hurdles in my way, I'm like, Parth, this is your dream. Nobody is going to protect it for you. Nobody is going to climb it for you. Nobody is going to pay you money. You have to make it happen for yourself. And I think that is the only, crux of the message that I through whatever I speak, be it a book whenever it comes, be it podcasts, your life is your responsibility. Don't blame anybody for it. And if you don't have the guts to follow through your bloody dream, don't dream. Because an unfulfilled dream will make sure you live a depressed life. So either dream and make it happen or be a normal human being, no problem. But no human being would ever want to be a normal human being. So don't be a victim.
We are born to be extraordinary, so commit and live to be extraordinary.
Correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every human being.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you train others to be extraordinary. You've taken that on as your purpose now.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
uh, what shifted? A lot of people have this habit of, I've done one mountain, I need to do the next, the next, the next. There's no end. The ambition chasing versus you chase your ambition, but in parallel, you even find a purpose.
Hmm.
What made you find that balance?
That's a very good question. And uh, you know, for 9 years of my life, as I told you, since the age of 15 to 24, I wanted to climb Everest. And you have to understand, 15 to 24 are the most important years in any human being's life, right? You are literally taking the path which will decide almost everything in the future for you. For me, it was Everest. And in a way, what I did was I put all my eggs in the Everest basket. By what do I mean by that? I thought that when I climb Everest, my life would be completely satisfied. I would be absolutely, वो दौड़ रुक जाएगी in a way. Well, the biggest dream of my life came true at the age of 24. I came back to the base camp and I was sitting and I'm like, okay, I'm temporarily happy. I'm glad it happened. It was beautiful for sure. But where the hell is that satisfaction or stillness? because I'm already thinking which mountain to do next, right? And this is something that every human being will able to be able to relate to. Whatever dreams they had, they
Yeah,
fulfill
yeah,
it.
it's all figurative, whether it's a
Yes,
real mountain or the next goal.
correct. Absolutely. Now at this, phase where you achieved a dream, what you do next really matters. Most people, what they do is, I've climbed Everest, now I will climb this mountain, then I will climb this mountain, I want to climb 14, I want to climb 7 summits, blah blah blah. Even if they, after they climb all the 14, they want to do it again. It never ends. And I ask myself some questions, that will this really end? Will that satisfaction that I was looking for, will I ever find? What is it that a human being really wants to do? These are questions that I genuinely asked myself. To a point, Ashu, these questions did not let me sleep at night. I mean it in the literal sense. Like, what is this life about? Are we supposed to go in the same circles? कि भाई एक माउंटेन दूसरा माउंटेन, एक गाड़ी दूसरी गाड़ी, 10वीं गाड़ी, 100वीं गाड़ी. Where does this nonsense end? And I stayed with this question. And that is when my spiritual guru came into my life somehow. And through him, I got to know that what you were looking for was never outside, was always within you. That is, and what is within you, if you try to find on Everest, you are the stupidest person in the world, right? So, after that, the desire to climb mountains for myself, or to earn money for myself, or to do anything for just me, that felt so limited. And when I, for example, reach Everest base camp with the clients who I lead, I see all these, 40, 50, 60-year-old men, women, extremely well-to-do people in their life, crying like babies, hugging each other. And then I look up at Everest and I'm like, आपके ऊपर खड़े रहकर भी मुझे इतनी खुशी नहीं हुई थी जो आज यहाँ पे इनको देख के हो रहा है. you know so there is a time to live for yourself. Yes, you have to realize that you don't have to live for yourself. You have to go through that, right? So when I've coached over 400 people, and whenever they go on an expedition and they come back with a success, on that expedition, I I have tears in my eyes, and that satisfaction, this is what I live for. Yeah, this is what I live for.
Fantastic. So, wishing you many more satisfied clients and a fulfilling life. I have been one of those who has gone and wept at that base camp,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I know how that feeling is. It is intense. It is unparalleled magic,
Yeah, for sure.
and to share that magic is with the world is a blessing. So, really, on that note, thank you very much for joining me today. And may you continue to spread magic in other people's lives.
Thank you, Ashu. Uh, you know, for you to ask such simple yet profound questions, and being, to take this initiative of spreading magic in other people's lives also. Thank you.
Thank you so much.